The Dragon and the George by Gordon Dickinson. This is 22 chapters, 279 pages. Here There Be Dragons. So, it is a quest by the main character to save his significant other, Lady Angie. And so they are both teaching assistants in modern day. They are both English teachers. And they're struggling to make a living on both their salaries. They're house hunting. They're just not satisfied with life. And the main character's significant other, Angie, gets sent back to the Middle Ages. And so, of course, the main character goes back to rescue her. And he's not quite the same. He gets transported back, but is a dragon. So, that's the premise. He, as a main character, has to go rescue the Lady Angie, or the Lady Angela, I guess is the official term. And through that quest, that at the end of the quest they can get to go home. That's the hope. And this is modern people sent to medieval times. I didn't realize there was a whole genre of fiction about that whole setting and scenario, but this one is 1976, so this is one of the earlier ones. It doesn't quite have as many of the tropes or the, ruts that some of them get into. And I really did enjoy this because it wasn't a solo quest. The first person that he runs into is like, hey, go talk to the wizard. The second person, or the second person that he runs into, is a wizard and says, hey, you need companions. You cannot do this alone. So it's not just a quest, but it's like, hey, let me go gather some companions and then go on the quest. So, kind of Lord of the Rings-esque in that there's a group and then the group goes on the quest. But this person doesn't have any clue, right? He's a dragon, doesn't know how things work, doesn't know how dragons work. And, I think some of the, categories, this could be like a Bram Stoker's Dracula in that, nowadays we're so saturated with dragons that, they're all have all these powers and are maybe time and time again overpowered. This goes back to the basics, and it is a very beginning. So really you learn about what he can and cannot do as a dragon on this quest. So he also has the leadership skills, or well, maybe lacking of the leadership skills, but is the leader of the party whether he wants to be or not. So he not only has to gather his companions, but convince them to go with him. And there's various turning points along the way, along the journey, where it's like, hey, should we go here or should we go to this other castle? And one of the things that I really, really liked was that there was nobody. It was, his first companion, Brian. Nobody wanted to go to this other castle. And, he just says, I'm in. And so then that kind of stacks things up and more followers go along when it's not part of his journey. He's helping a friend and others choose to follow him. So there was definitely that turning point of being lost in the woods to then being a leader. So I liked that part of the journey. Another part that I think is really important is there's the friendship between the wolf and the dragon. So every friendship, there's always good times and bad times, but there's also I like to call it tough love, right? Saying it how it is, being straight up. That's super important. And it's really hard to not get frustrated with somebody when they're telling you something you don't want to hear. The wolf is straight up like, if you go do this thing, I'm not with you. I'm out. Peace. And so that was a really big thing, and I thought was really cool because sometimes that's what you need in a friendship or to do for another friend. So lots of, friendship, fellowship, adventure, questing, all that good stuff. And I really liked it because it wasn't just like all powerful dragon. He was legit like in the world, and there were knights that like, hey, I'm a knight, I'm going to take out a dragon and win some fame. So lots of good stuff. And really his companions, Brian was the first, and he is a knight, so they're sworn enemies, right? A dragon and a knight, they don't get along, but yet all throughout the group they assemble and run into these characters, other mercenaries, and I really liked the way that they each had their own personalities and ways they did or didn't mesh. Yeah, really, a medieval book, but with modern people. I liked the take. I liked the adventure. There wasn't really any trudgery. It was just a fun fantasy that kind of went for it. And I liked too that it was dark forces. You know, it wasn't just like some all powerful bad guy. It was like dark forces that that can control or convince you know, normal people to do bad things. So it wasn't just like, oh, one super pure evil villain. It was normal people being influenced by the dark forces. So I liked that for the bad guy. Yeah, it was just really cool. The auditing department, that was hilarious. You know, fourth wall break, great stuff. It was just like, it's like a medieval Deadpool almost. So yeah, if you like medieval times, if you like that, you know, total crazy fantasy where they're just totally thrown into a new place and have to figure it out, this book is for you. Lots of fun. It is a little bit old timey, and there was a little bit of British Scottish in there, but it did not take away from it one bit. Super fun, super short, less than 300 pages. Great read. So, yeah, this one's used, and yeah, happy Valentine's Day. Oh, that's somebody's address. Whoops. So, yeah, good times. I always like to buy my books used when I can, so you should remember to buy your books used or digital.